In the midst of wrapping up a project proposal, my phone displayed Mom's name. I hesitated, as calls from her typically hinted at some drama involving Jake, my younger brother. "Hello," I answered, striving to maintain a neutral tone. "Tara, I'm glad you answered." Mom's cheerful voice came through. "Your father and I have been planning a celebration for your birthday. It's in 3 weeks, right? We've decided to host it at our place, just family and close relatives. Won't that be nice?" I blinked in surprise at the thought of them remembering my birthday. "Oh, that's unexpected," I responded carefully. "I was actually considering something at that new Italian restaurant downtown with some work friends." "Don't be silly," Mom interjected. "I've already invited everyone, your aunts, uncles, cousins, they're all coming. You should be thankful we're handling everything." I sighed, realizing that arguing was futile when she used that voice. "Sure, Mom. Thanks for organizing everything." Once the call ended, I stared at my phone in disbelief. In 30 years, they had never shown such interest in any of my birthdays. Growing up, my birthday celebrations were modest, perhaps a small cake or a book if I was lucky. Jake, on the other hand, always enjoyed extravagant bashes with themes, bounce houses, and costly gifts. I vividly recall my 16th birthday. I was eager for driving lessons that my parents had promised, but instead, I received a $20 bookstore gift card. They reasoned it was necessary to save money. Yet, just 3 years later, they bought Jake a used car for his 16th birthday. He wrecked it within 3 weeks, and they replaced it without a word. After moving out at 18, I vowed to never expect anything from them again. I worked through college, took additional jobs, and gradually built a career as a project manager, managing to learn self-reliance from their favoritism. So, why this sudden interest in celebrating my birthday now? A part of me hoped they finally recognized how unfair they'd been over the years. Perhaps they wanted to make amends, although it seemed improbable. Maybe me turning 30 spurred them to reflect on how they'd treated me. I turned my attention back to my computer, keen to focus on the present project, which promised a substantial commission if successful. In the past year, I closed 3 major projects, each earning considerable bonuses. 2 months ago, I pooled these savings to finally purchase my apartment mortgage-free. It was a simple 2-bedroom in a good area. Nothing fancy, but it was the first place that genuinely felt like home. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. "Her mom's planning your birthday, sounds fun." His message carried the familiar sarcasm that characterized most of our interactions. Jake was 27 and still carried the entitlement typical of the favored child. 3 years prior, he announced he was opening a tattoo shop. Our parents had been ecstatic, despite his lack of business acumen or notable artistic talent. Naturally, they assisted with the initial investment. His social media fed the narrative of vast success. Pictures of exotic trips, flashy clothes, and beautiful women adorned his Instagram, all meticulously curated to paint the portrait of a thriving entrepreneur. Realistically, I suspected the truth was quite different. For the following 3 weeks, I buried myself in work, trying not to dwell on the upcoming birthday dinner. When Friday arrived, I left the office early to prepare. Opting for a simple blue dress that was both professional and festive, I drove to my childhood home in the suburbs. Cars filled the driveway and street, and I recognized my Aunt Lisa's sedan and Uncle Mark's pickup. Taking a deep breath, I approached and rang the doorbell. Mom opened it with a beaming smile. "There's our birthday girl. Come in, come in. Everyone's waiting." The living room was alive with relatives, some I hadn't seen for months, others for years. Aunt Lisa embraced me tightly. "Tara, it's been too long. You look wonderful." Uncle Mark patted my shoulder. "So, I heard you got yourself an apartment."
No morgi, eh?
"That's impressive." Thankful for the kind words, I smiled genuinely. Years of saving, but it feels wonderful to have something that's truly mine. Across the room, Jake sat in an armchair, focused on his phone. At the mention of my apartment, he glanced up, wearing a distinct grimace. As the evening unfolded, we enjoyed Mom's lasagna, a rare treat and my favorite, while conversation flowed freely. Relatives inquired about my job and congratulated me on my new apartment. often commenting on how responsible I'd always been. Aunt Lisa remembered. Remember when Tara was just 12 and started that little dog walking business in the neighborhood? Ever the entrepreneur, I simply smiled, relishing the rare spotlight. Meanwhile, Jake stayed mostly quiet, occasionally tapping away on his pricey new phone, a model priced at over $1,000. Present time, Mom declared after dinner, and everyone gathered as I unwrapped my gifts. They were mostly thoughtful, simple presents like a scarf from Aunt Lisa and a gift card from my cousins. Reaching my parents' gift, I found a large box wrapped in silver paper. "This is from us and Jake," Mom said. Inside was a high-end coffee maker. It wasn't the most personal gift, but it was certainly practical. "Thank you," I said, sincerely appreciative. As the evening came to a close and relatives began to say their goodbyes, I felt a sense of relaxation. Maybe my parents really were trying to mend our relationship. This birthday may not have been grand, but it felt pleasantly normal, which in itself was a gift. Once everyone had departed except for me, my parents, and Jake, I began gathering my things. "Thanks for hosting, Mom. This was nice," I said. "Wait, Tara." Mom's expression turned slightly serious. "We need to discuss something important," she added. The change in her tone made my stomach twist, but I sat on the couch. Dad joined Mom on the love seat across from me while Jake lounged nearby, still engrossed in his phone. "What's happening?" I asked, feeling my earlier contentment slip away. Mom and Dad exchanged glances before Mom began. "It's about Jake. He's going through some financial troubles." Dad took over. "A few years ago, when Jake opened his tattoo parlor, he took loans for business development. The business hasn't performed as expected, and now he's struggling with payments," he finished. I bit my tongue as I recalled Jake's Instagram posts flaunting beach resorts, nightclubs, and yachts. Not typical of someone in financial distress. "How severe is it?" I probed carefully. Mom and Dad exchanged another look. "His debts are about $200,000, Mom finally admitted. $200,000? I gasped. That eclipsed what I'd paid for my entire apartment. "How is that even possible?" I inquired. Jake finally looked up. "Business costs add up, equipment, rent, advertising," he said defensively. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, though dread already snuck its way into my gut. Dad cleared his throat. "We believe you should help your brother settle his debts. Sell your apartment. That would cover Jake's debt and grant him a fresh start." The room fell silent. I waited for them to laugh, to say it was a joke, but they stayed serious. "You want me to sell my apartment, which I saved years to buy, to bail Jake out?" My voice was steady, but strained. "He's your brother," Dad declared sternly. "Family helps family." I glanced at Jake, who looked mildly uncomfortable but remained busy with his phone. "This isn't real," I mumbled, getting to my feet. "I'm not selling my apartment, that's absurd." Jake's head jerked up. "What a terrible sister you are," he snapped. "I knew you wouldn't help." "You can't be serious," I said, turning from Jake to my parents. "He owns a yacht, for God's sake." "I've seen the pictures. He drives a Porsche. Why doesn't he sell those?" "They are crucial for my business image," Jake argued. "I can't compromise my professional appearance." "And my home isn't essential?" I retorted. "The home I worked tirelessly to afford?" "You're being selfish," Mom said, her voice rising. "Jake needs our help, and as his older sister, you should support him." "And what of all the support you've poured into him throughout his life?" The words slipped out before I could catch them. "The cars, the vacations, the business investments. Wasn't that enough?" "That's different," Dad dismissed. "He's had different needs than you." "Different needs?" I echoed incredulously. "When I needed braces, you said it was unaffordable." Yet, 6 months later, Jake received an expensive gaming console for Christmas. I took a deep breath, trying to calm down as my mother snapped, "We've always treated you both fairly. Stop exaggerating." I reminded them that I wouldn't sell my apartment, which ended the discussion. Jake wanted to start a tattoo parlor with no experience, and they gave him thousands, yet I should take out loans. Mom's features hardened, and she stood, retrieving the box with the coffee maker they had given me. "Then you don't deserve gifts from us," she said coldly, taking the box away, leaving me in shock at her cruelty. Dad stood beside her, adding, "If you can't support your brother, you don't deserve to be part of this family." Mom chimed in with an icy, "You don't deserve to be our daughter." Jake watched, looking smug, infuriating me further. "Fine," I said, grabbing my belongings. "I'm going home to the apartment I earned, and I am definitely not selling it." Mom hissed, "Get out." I left, trying to maintain my dignity. As I stepped outside, the door slammed behind me. During the drive, messages kept coming in. I ignored them until I reached home. Mom's text accused me of being ungrateful after all they've done, while Dad called me selfish. Jake's messages were the most hurtful. "Have fun being alone in your precious apartment. Maybe cuddle with your mortgage papers since no man would want to live with such selfishness. Must be nice being ugly inside, and out you'll die alone. Congrats on a great investment." I threw my phone onto the couch and let tears fall. Happy birthday to me. After crying, I splashed water on my face in the bathroom. Looking in the mirror, I felt a strange calm replace the hurt. What had I really lost? Parents who never prioritized me, and a brother who saw me as an ATM. I made tea, reflecting on the $1,200 I'd sent monthly for a year, $700 for their new car loan, and $500 for bills. They never asked for this. I thought that's what family did. I opened my banking app and canceled both transfers, feeling scared yet free. Then I wrote an email to my parents. "Since you don't see me as your daughter, I won't financially support strangers anymore. The payments are canceled. Redirect the $1,200 to Jake's debts instead. Don't contact me again." I sent the email and turned off my phone, then took a long shower before sleeping. Thankfully, it was Saturday. I couldn't face work. The next morning, I turned on my phone, 53 missed calls, dozens of texts mainly from my parents and Jake. Scrolling through them with detached curiosity, Mom's message accused me of canceling payments without discussion. Dad said Mom was upset, and Jake accused me of being immature. The messages were frantic and angry. The latest, from Mom, was sent 30 minutes ago. "We need to talk, call me." My phone rang just as I read it. It was Mom. After a pause, I answered. Without a greeting, she demanded, "How could you do this to us?" "Do what?" I replied calmly. "Stop supporting people who don't consider me family. Seems reasonable." "You had no right," she exclaimed. "Actually, I had every right. It's my money." There was a pause before she softened her tone manipulatively. "Tara, honey, we were upset last night." Things were said. In the heat of the moment, "No," I said firmly, "I'm not coming over, and I'm not changing my mind about the payments or my apartment." Her voice cracked. "We can't manage without that money, Tara. The car payment alone. You should have thought about that before demanding I sell my home and calling me names," I replied. "I'm done being your backup plan. Goodbye, Mom." I hung up and immediately blocked their numbers, then did the same for their email addresses and social media accounts. It might have been petty, but it felt necessary for my mental health. Surprisingly, the following week was peaceful, without the constant worry about my family. I was more focused at work and slept better at night. I completed another project ahead of schedule, earning praise from my boss and securing a new client that everyone had been trying to land for months. My peaceful bubble burst on Friday afternoon when my Aunt Lisa showed up at my apartment unannounced. "Tara, I hope you don't mind me dropping by," she said when I opened the door. "I have news for you." While Aunt Lisa settled on my couch, I busied myself in the kitchen. When I returned with 2 glasses, she got straight to the point. "Your parents have been telling everyone a very interesting story," she said. "According to them, you've cut them off financially because they didn't give you an expensive enough birthday present." I nearly choked on my water. "What?" "There's more," Aunt Lisa continued. "Your mother claims you demanded they sign over their house to you, or you'd stop helping them with bills." I sighed and told her everything. The birthday dinner, Jake's demands, my parents' demand that I sell my apartment, and the cruel messages afterward. "I have the texts," I added, pulling out my phone and showing her the vicious messages from my family. "They called me ugly, said I'd die alone, that I didn't deserve to be their daughter. All because I wouldn't sell my home to bail Jake out. Lisa's face darkened as she scrolled through the messages. "This is disgusting," she muttered. "And now they're playing the victims?"
Typical.
"I've watched how they've treated you compared to Jake for 30 years. When you were 10 and won that school science fair, your mother barely acknowledged it. 2 years later, Jake built that mediocre volcano that didn't even erupt properly, and they threw him a celebration dinner." Her words brought back a flood of memories I tried to suppress. The time Jake crashed the family car and got a new one while I had to save for years to buy my first used vehicle. The Christmas I received socks while Jake got the latest gaming console. After Aunt Lisa left, promising to set the record straight with other relatives, I felt both validated and exhausted. For the first time, someone in my family had acknowledged the unfair treatment I'd endured all my life. The following Wednesday, I was at my desk reviewing a client proposal when my office phone rang. "Miss Mitchell," it was the security guard from the lobby. "There's a couple here insisting they need to see you. They say they're your parents." My heart raced. "I don't want to see them, Sam. Please don't let them up." "No problem. Should I ask them to leave the premises?" "Yes, please." But I hesitated, then sighed. "Tell them I'll come down to the lobby. I'll speak to them there for 5 minutes, but that's it." I took the elevator down, mentally preparing myself. When the doors opened, I saw my parents standing by the security desk. Mom's eyes were red, and Dad looked haggard. "You have 5 minutes," I said coldly, leading them to a corner of the lobby away from curious ears.
"This has gone far enough," Dad began.
"Your aunt has been telling everyone your version of events, and now the whole family is treating us like we're monsters." "My version?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean the truth? You're exaggerating everything," Mom hissed. "We were just asking for your help, and you've turned it into this character assassination." "I showed Aunt Lisa the messages you sent me," I replied calmly. "Your exact words, calling me ugly, saying I'd die alone. Was that an exaggeration?" They exchanged uncomfortable glances.
"We were upset," Dad muttered.
"People say things they don't mean when they're upset. The way I see it, you finally said what you've always thought of me." Mom's face contorted with anger. "This isn't about ancient history, Tara.
This is about now.
Your brother needs help, and instead of supporting him, you've destroyed our reputation with the family. You destroyed your own reputation by lying about me," I countered, "and by treating me like garbage. Throughout my life," Mom insisted, "that's not true. We've always loved you as much as we love Jake." I laughed at the blatant lie. "Sure, Mom. That's exactly why Jake was given a car at 16, while I got a gift card. That's also why you funded his business, yet told me to take out loans for college. You've always been independent," Dad weakly mumbled. "Jake needs more support. Jake needs to mature and face his actions' repercussions," I stated, "as should both of you." Mom's expression turned cold. "Fine. If that's your decision, we'll make your life miserable. We'll use different numbers to call, email from new accounts, and show up at your workplace." "Sarah," Dad warned, casting a nervous glance at the security guard who kept a watchful eye on us. "No, Bill, I'm done being polite," Mom continued, her voice rising. "We'll visit her home, get in touch with her friends, and keep at it until she helps out Jake and supports us once more." I was beyond tired of their arrogance, their entitlement, and their relentless emotional manipulation. They genuinely believed I could be bullied into surrendering all I'd achieved. Pulling out my phone, I called someone. "Who are you calling?" Dad interrogated. "Mark Donovan," I replied calmly. "Our corporate lawyer. I've already discussed my family issues with him." Mom's face turned pale. "Are you really calling a lawyer against us?" "Hello, Mark, it's Tara Mitchell. I mentioned the family harassment situation earlier. They're here now, at my office, threatening me."
"Could you meet me in the lobby?"
I paused and listened. "Thanks, I appreciate it." I ended the call and faced my parents. "He'll be here in 2 minutes." "We wouldn't really—" Mom started, but stopped as a well-dressed man in his 50s approached us. "Tara," he nodded to me, then addressed my parents, "Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, I'm Mark Donovan, corporate counsel for this firm and a close friend of your daughter." "This is a family affair," Dad said stiffly. "It doesn't involve you." "In fact, it does," Mark countered. "Tara has shown me the threatening communications you've sent." Now, by coming to her workplace, you've continued this harassment. Let's be perfectly clear. If you persist in contacting Tara against her wishes, whether by phone, email, in person, or through intermediaries, we will take steps to secure a restraining order and, if needed, file criminal charges. You wouldn't, Mom whispered, looking at me. Try me, I replied, unwavering. I'm finished being your scapegoat. From now on, all communication should go through me, Mark continued, handing each a business card. Have a pleasant day. My parents stood, stunned, before silently exiting through the glass doors. I watched as they got into a car that wasn't the new one my help had bought. Are you all right? Mark asked once they had driven off. Yes, I confirmed, surprised to realize I meant it. I believe I am. From that office confrontation onwards, my parents ceased to trouble me. Mark's legal warning was incredibly effective, ushering a newfound calm into my life. No more dramas, demands, or guilt trips. One Saturday morning, during our scheduled chat, Aunt Lisa called. Thought you'd want to know, she shared after we exchanged pleasantries. The bank repossessed your parents' car last week. They couldn't keep up with payments without your help. I see, I replied, feeling a twinge, not quite guilt, more of acknowledgement. Jake had to sell his Porsche and that impractical shop of his, she continued, which didn't erase all his debts but helped a bit. He's moved back with your parents now. Is he job hunting? I inquired. Actually, yes, he has several downtown interviews lined up. Nothing extravagant, just ordinary jobs. A smile formed on my lips. A regular job might be precisely what he needs. After our conversation, I took my camera, a newfound passion, and headed to a city park. Photography had become my weekend retreat, revealing beauty in the world around me. My phone buzzed, a text from Rachel, confirming our coastal weekend getaway for next month. I was now investing more time in friendships and travel, no longer bound by the obligation of resolving my family's financial woes. As I framed a shot of an elderly couple feeding ducks at the pond, a sense of contentment enveloped me. My life was finally mine, shaped by my choices, values, and desires. After 30 years, I was truly free.